We've just received our competency certificate, and now we need to decide what firearm to get. Now, there are so many options. And so how do we choose which one to choose for us? So we have to ask ourselves these little questions. Do I want to have it as my everyday carry, my self-defense gun, or do I want it for sport shooting? Do I want it maybe for just at home self-defense, right? Or do I want it for a little bit of everything? Okay, so that's something you need to ask yourself. For me personally, I want it for my everyday carry. I want it for all the time, and I want it for sport shooting, and I want it for my home defense. So I want it for all the purposes I can have it for, right? So I want an all-round good gun. Okay. Because second-hand guns are good. And I suppose it comes down to what's my budget, right? So what is your budget? That's what you got to ask yourself. What am I willing to spend? Now, the next thing that will come up is, what is your life worth? For me, I think a good budget is anything from the 10 to 20,000 Rand mark. If you can afford anywhere in that region, that's what you want to spend on a gun, okay? Yes, you can go crazy and you can buy 40,000 Rand, Shadow 2s, and you can buy crazy STIs or whatever the case is, or aliens and whatever. If you've got hundreds and thousands of rands to throw at your problem. Does it make you a better shooter? No, I don't think so. I think, yes, the equipment is nice to have, but it doesn't make you a great shooter. I've seen lots of guys with the greatest gear but can't hit the broadside of a barn. So the gun doesn't really necessarily make you. Okay, now you got to ask yourself, okay, so for me, I want a new gun, not because of any other reason, but just because I want something that is fresh and new, and I know how many rounds I've got through it. So if you choose a second-hand gun, you might find problems. Like generally second-hand guns are older generation guns, so you can get like a revolver or a Star or a Beretta or, one of these things that 92s, these older guns that now have come off the market now. They're not really that popular anymore, and those are the kind of guns you can get. The problem comes with that is spares. Are spares available for them? Can you find them? And normally with the older guns, you can't change out sights. You better to find spare magazines. All of these kind of things come into play. So a new gun is generally preferable, right? Okay, so let's say now we're going to choose a new gun. What caliber do we go for? What caliber do you go for? Because, everybody heard the uncle that said, 45, it's got stopping power. Or 357, it takes the neighbor's fridge with the bad guy. These old stories. It's not true, okay? Stopping power isn't based on the caliber. It's based on shot placement. So wherever I put the round is generally what's important, not how big the bullet was or how fast the bullet was traveling or whatever the case is. So what do I want in my caliber? Well, for me, I think 9mm is a generally good round to go with. It's most commonly used across the world. It is available. It's not too expensive. Reloading components are available for it. So if I wanted to reload my own ammunition, I could to practice with. And most gun manufacturers have a 9mm in their selection of firearms. So it opens me up to more accessories, more parts, more, right? Okay, so I've now chosen my caliber. Size. Do I go for a big gun? Because remember, I want to have it as my everyday carry gun. So do I go for a full size, like this one, a PO9, a full size gun, right? Very nice in my hand, feels amazing, but to carry this every day, might print quite badly, right? Or do I go with a 1911, 45, big caliber, big gun, right? Because my uncle says 45 is the only way to go. Yeah? Or do I go with something that is small and compact, that barely fits in my hand, like this MC9, right? That barely fits in my hand. It's got so much gap, my pinky runs off the edge of it. Or do I go with an everyday in the middle, which is your Canik Meti SF, your Glock 19 range, These are all decent size. My pinky doesn't come off the edge. 15 round mag capacity, stuff like that, right? So that's also a thing you got to look at is capacity on the gun. How many rounds do I have in my gun? So that's something else you got to look at. Cost on all of these vary between the 10 and 20,000 rand mark. Okay, then the next option I have to choose. Do I go between a hammer gun like this CZ PO9, or do I go with a Glock striker fire, no hammer? Okay, so that comes down to personal preference. What I have found in my lifetime is that the hammer guns generally do poke you in the side quite a bit. But, whereas the striker fire, the flat face to the back, they don't poke you. The other benefit is that the striker fires are a single action gun. So once the gun is cocked, your trigger pull is the same as every shot, whereas the hammer guns generally are double action trigger. So you've got the first trigger pull, which is that long hammer pull that will pull it all the way back and hit the firing pin. And then the second one will be short strokes, right? Single action thereafter. So for me, I like consistency. So for me, I want to strike at fire, single action trigger. That's what I want, okay? Right, accessories, parts. Now you got to look at these kind of things. If I have a revolver, let's say I choose a revolver. So here's a 38 revolver. I choose this for my everyday carry. It's a good gun, concealable. I can sport shoot with it. Yes, I can have it as my everyday carry. I can keep it at home for my self-protection. But what accessories can I put on it? If I want to change these sights, because my eyesight is getting a little bit bad, I really can't do much about that. Grip, yeah, I can change the grip. I can change the grips to whatever I want. But other than that, I'm pretty much stuck with just this gun, right? And that's what you got to look at. You got to look at parts and accessories. If I want to change my sights, if I want to add a torch to it, can I put a torch on my gun? Does it allow for me to do that? Yeah. So most of the new manufacturers all come out with Picatinny rails underneath the frame, and so you can add on accessories like torches or lasers or whatever. And what about red dots? Can I put a red dot on my gun? So if I want to go that way, if that's where I'm leading towards, then I need to look at a gun that is MOS ready. So it comes down to a list and a whole host of things that you want to choose. When I look at all of these guns and I decide what I want to do, for me, at this moment, right now, in time, the Canik Prime has won that challenge. And that is because, and I'm not promoting Canik Prime, I'm just saying, because of what I want, and what I want in my life, this is what I want. So I want capacity, 917 rounds, standard magazine, chambered in 9mm, good caliber. It's got tritium night sights, so sights are good. Are they interchangeable? Yes, they are. Small, compact, yes, it is. If I look at a Glock 719 and I look at it, it is slightly smaller than a Glock 19 and slightly thinner than a Glock 19. So it is more easy to conceal, right? How does it feel in my hand? That's the next question you got to ask yourself. How does it feel in your hand, right? Yeah, it feels nice. I get a nice grip high up underneath the tang. It does feel comfortable in my hand. When I naturally pick up the gun, I naturally find the front sight, so it's immediately working for me. Accessories available, red dot, yes, it's MOS ready. So this gun speaks to me if I ask all those questions. Budget, it's expensive. It reaches the top of my budget. My budget is between 10 and 20, right? So this is 20,000 rand. Is it all steel? No, I don't want an all steel gun. All steel guns are heavy, so I want a polymer frame. If you want an all steel gun, that's fine. Just know the gun is heavy. So, like I say, when we're choosing our first gun, it is quite a process to look at. And there are so many options and variations out there that you can choose from. So there is no right answer or wrong answer. There's what works for you and what doesn't work for you. If that's something that you want a heavy steel gun, great. It's nice to shoot, takes away some of the recoil, but it's not great to carry because your pants will fall down, okay? And it's heavy on your hips, right? So I found that a gun that is too small, that is nice to carry, isn't always a good shooting gun. And so when guys don't like to shoot it, they don't like to carry it because there's no point in it. where a gun is good to shoot, easy to carry, then they want to keep it with them all the time because they trust it. They know it works. It's easy to carry. It's not too uncomfortable. It doesn't, it shoots well. You know, I can hit the target when I need to. It's not snapping out of my hands. These are all the kind of things that you want to feel. So I hope this helps you when you're choosing your gun. There are so many options and so many variations that you can choose from. What you need to decide is what is for you. So budget is always a good thing to look at. Parts and accessories, and what do you want it for? I would say those are probably the key main things that you need to look at when you're choosing your firearm. All right, guys. In this part series, we're going to be taking you through the whole process of getting a new gun. So I'm going to be running my new gun, the Mechanic Prime, and we're going to be showing you drills and tips on what to do as a new time shooter. So stay tuned. Make sure you're following us. Make sure you share with your friends that are new time shooters or new time gun owners. And I will see you again soon. As always, my name is Dave from Training and Tactics. Have an awesome weekend. Ciao for now.